Welcome to our lovely future humans and to those who are emotionally mature, intelligent, being yourself authentically. Where are my quotes? Committed to being yourself authentically. Yes, we actually don't cherry pick when we come across information because convenience over everything is not what a smart person does. Being yourself, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. But today, thanks to science, we know being yourself is only for the emotionally mature person. Otherwise, we have the, what is it? They choose convenience over everything. Now, our brain does choose its actual preferred pathway. So, self led people are kind of lucky because we get to begin to decide as adolescents how to behave according to that which is actual integrity, which is why you don't follow the peers. So, society, emotionally mature people, society, they have integrity. What other people say about them doesn't matter because they will not be ashamed of what they have done. And in fact, they don't live with shame hovering underneath the surface. Emotionally immature people, on the other hand, there's therapists that are now teaching people that are other therapists how to handle parents that are emotionally mature and their children, meaning help them to become their true self. Here, we don't need help with that. We get to work with our grown up personality patterns, get to find out why people think we're assholes, evils, Knievils. Oh, and 3D, 4D is not going anywhere. In fact, actually, I saw a nice 5D mystic out there as they spoke of things that were very fascinating and good. Akashic record reader right here. And it was something along the lines of a lot of money that people take from people to get rid of entities. I forget how, but then I also was watching a TV show that was actually with an investigative police looking into murder of some sort, and the person had actually said, "Let me come cleanse your house," and ended up killing a human being. So, mysticism, intuitiveness, it's now in TV shows, which is great, but obviously we have that situation with those who are using it incorrectly. However, have you tried talking to people with neuroscience in the forefront and say, hey, there's Patrick McNamara. He's a beautiful man who's doing research. He's proven there's no demon inside of anyone with all of his studies decentralizing in the self. Yes, actually, I posed a question to a human being who frequents very big institutions, and because I know they respect them and they respect themselves, sort of, because obviously the emotionally immature person, as they cherry pick, what was it? They think their reasoning is going to convince and lead them to success. And that's why, yes, it will be as it always has been, just with dharma, not karma. I knew that as a 5D mystic. I know what time it is, the era that we're in, the timeline, societal construct. We're finally adapting to new piece of information, intuitiveness, and that's why sciences studies consciousness, which this beautiful Akashic 5D person, I'm going to call her that, also said it's really amazing to look into the sciences, and they know a lot more, and I totally agree because I'm pseudoscience lady. But I can repeat to you what I have been learning. Where's Thomas Campbell? I can't find him, but he's the physicist who has the law of everything, and he has math, and love always wins. Look, hey God, so what's up? Align with God's source, apply the spiritual essence of love, activate in God's will with Mother Earth's fifth dimension. Do I sound like I'm a satisfied human being today? Guess what child part is here right now? My teenage self. I told all the assholes that they were wrong. And there you go. Did I prove it? Nah, not really, because yeah, in 3D, 4D, they're not going anywhere. So emotionally immature people, they cherry pick what they like and what they don't like, not what works or doesn't work. Then they think their reasoning will be convincing and lead them to success. And that's why some people say trauma people won't succeed to manifest. And I say, no, that's not true. That's a lie, because God is good to all his children. They're just not monsters. So people who harbor shame, resentment, low frequency, and the 4D and 3D are all over that. They are the ones who, when you tell them, Patrick McNamara proves there's no entities attached to anybody, there's no demon, devil, nothing. So, number one, when I asked the person, the serious human being, about why are they not, the churches, welcoming the religions, all of us, Reiki, tarot, yoga, Dalai Lama asked, hey, all spiritual people come together. So really, religion and spirituality could come together if only those who call themselves leaders would actually be emotionally mature. But what do emotionally immature people use? The non-bilaterally integrated brain people, they use the left brain. And that's why ego sounds very unimpressive. To those of us who have an ego, yes, ego, you're good, and a self. And so when my ego's like, I want to do that, I want to do that, I was like, wow, I got curious. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not Maria against Maria, because that's bullshit. inner growth mindset. You don't have an inner critic, outer critic. The only time I did this inner critic shit was a very small, I'm all alone. It wasn't even an inner critic. And when I'm stupid, I'm stupid. I'm okay with that, because sometimes I'm really stupid. Like, actually, when I feel really dumb, now I get upset like a little 3-year-old. It's like when I watched my niece as she was trying to tie her shoe, and she's really angry, but she didn't want any of us to help her. That's how ego works. So you see, that's why once you meet the ego of a 16-year-old with a 3-year-old that actually has none of the good upbringing, 6 basic human emotions need to be able to be expressed. Mine were anger included, although I froze when I was in a crowd, but that makes sense because my body, she's smarter than this. That's why the empowered feminine, I'm not buffooned by you. My gut will tell me everything, but love is all things, love never judges, love never obstructs free will, and God always chimes in to remind me not to judge my brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of my fucking time. Buddha makes fun of me because he knows I spot him. I make fun of him because he sat under a tree. Jesus smiles every now and then, and sometimes he'll just stare at me until I'm actually speaking up the way that apparently they're wanting me to, which is simply being a Maria. Letting you know that I don't have mediocre people around me, because mediocre is very, no, I have anyone around me, but it's not dangerous, Dan Martell, because once you see what they are capable of in their every 24 hours, you know what they're capable of. So God gave everyone 2 hands, 2 feet. We don't choose convenience over everything. I choose personally what works. The diet's working wonders because I have my energy. I go to the bathroom regularly, which I'm still getting used to. I'm like, when's the next poop attack going to come? IBS is really a bitch. I told a 20-year-old who began having issues, I said, look, I don't know if my issues when I began in college were from that, but hey, I mean, I'm just going to let you know, science proves a lot of good stuff for you. And spirituality, the smart ones know that we don't need to give up on scientists because it's not a competition. Now, if they're competing, then you got an emotionally immature person. Immaturity means that they're insecure, which is why they're competing. So their body is a performance, it's an act, because it's really hard to keep, it's not hard to keep a relationship from inside. Now, the words don't mean much, remember, because actions speak louder than words, because people like to wield their mouths in very unimpressive ways. But once you meet emotionally immature people and they're unintelligent, and unfortunately, they're still human, which means that, not unfortunately, meaning it's sad to say we have to leave it alone. Some people give up on themselves, like my facade friends. So, intentional living is not for everyone. Mental fitness as a lifestyle is not for everyone. At least not the ones who will blossom as their selves, self-led. They might pretend to do all this stuff and use the same words. The ones who will be stupid enough to actually buy into it, those are the ones who choose convenience over everything. And I'm going to let you know, I have been desperate enough to be buffooned once, and that was one of the moments where I was like, well, I have a plaque of shame to remind myself of how Maria can be stupid too. It's okay to be reminded that I don't know everything. That was probably God's second lesson, to remind me that I don't know everything. Oh, and to keep me on the right track, because God always encourages, comforts, strengthens, supports you to become the best version of yourself. Highest timeline is only emotionally mature people. Otherwise, they're, again, cherry picking what they like, getting offended and upset, and what is it called? Chips on the shoulder. That's what it's called. I was a teenager and it's that personal, and I grew up to know, yeah, it's not. So whenever someone's saying anything about anyone, my cultures, my heritage, the world, I don't take offense. There are still some words that trigger me, but we can work on that in our workshops, because it's really fun for emotionally mature, intelligent people to get intrigued. Okay, wow, that was fascinating. So we get to participate with our own growth. The beginner's breath. You wake up grateful for everything. You're not actually getting worse. And as I was trying to get to that Akashic record reader later, lady, she was talking about how she finds earth angels, people who are like nurses and those who work in hospitals, and that's where the 5D collective is at. We know that mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people, and just all people are earth angels. And beyond, there's not just earth angels, but be yourself. The smart way means stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, and you also unconditionally love with flaws and imperfections, because who's perfect here? No one. None of us are. Wait for it. Only a fool believes that success alone is real. Thank you, John Amashi. And as lovely and Laura Lecomte points out, fix your destructive mindset in 15 minutes. Sure, some scientists say that it's likely even with willpower you won't break your bad habits. I'm going to say the emotionally immature people, yes, they won't, because they prefer the left brain. And once you are allowing it to rule you, well, dark sides of neuroplasticity are always the same. So the 4D and 3D, they really end up just getting stuck, like my facade friend, in that which is their teenager version. It's very unimpressive. Good intentions are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce the necessary results. Thank you, Sadhguru. But guess what emotionally immature people do when you tell them, hey, your first 3 years of life matter? Find it hard to believe. Or shame projects itself upon you and then says, you just want my ill will. I know it because you're always, and this is a whole other story, but it's okay. As a mystic, I was like, no, but I did leave it alone. I was very sad that day, very, very sad. In fact, so sad that I actually had to consult with someone else so that I could share, but it's okay. It's the sad thing is when you know people can become like amazing, but they won't. But like with the Therapy Nutshell Ladies video where there's a woman who teaches you how to handle emotionally immature people and why, I agree with that because they're really just children who were hurt when they were grown up. So it's better that they get it off their chest to be saluted, and then they can go on with their life and stop thinking about you. And so let him who would move the world first move himself. Thank you, Socrates. You're going to take bold steps forward into the future with your beginner's breath and your beginner's mind. And that means that you're able to consistently be in what is called the present. That's why you are emotionally mature. So we don't nitpick or cherry pick. Well, those who don't feel safe yet, they need Dr. Amy Pegan, Biology of Trauma podcast. Yeah, she explains why willpower won't make you better. Lovely Patrick Tian explains why your CPTSD isn't getting better and how the bad habits continue. And then there's people who continue to like to make up shit. So when someone doesn't believe in Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, because they say spirituality wins, it's like, no, it doesn't. And when a person from the institution say, no, well, God doesn't need science, as you're explaining to them what neuroscientists prove, which is every single human being is an earth baby, earth angel, child of God, and you say, no, well, it's pretty clear who the manipulative bastards who are lying are. Excuse me, bastards is a very strong word. The charlatans, they're not charming. They're on Michael Stone's evil scale. The charming ones are not charming to emotionally mature brains because the intelligence comes from the left and right. The buffoonery comes from let me cherry pick what I like and don't like, and then let me be a hypocrite and an ignorant human being, and let me continue to think I know more than what a bunch of beautiful, smart-ass academics who can come together. So wait, on a Friday evening in high school, I asked for homework. Boo! So that's what we have. We have people who don't want to learn, and people who say yoga brings demons out of you because one human being has a bad experience, goes around spreading a rumor now because they stayed ignorant. And that's pop culture for you. So when people are doing what trends, they run off of Facebook after not a documentary, a bad, shitty, whatever that was, and you learn how marketers don't know what's trending or not for real, and you leave alone the emotionally immature people who cherry pick what is their favorite stuff. Those are the masculines, unimpressive. I mean, wow. Empowered feminines can't be tested by masculines because the masculine is the left brain alone. I have an ego too. I know how it works. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Wow. Okay. This is for your health. Like, this is ridiculous. I laughed at myself and I laughed at my 3-year-old and I'm like, what the fuck? It's not convenient for us to continue this way. We're 45. We need to maintain our muscles now before it's too late, not when it's too late. Once it's too late, I mean, sure, I can recuperate, but why not treat myself right? Yeah, love yourself first. Remember, emotionally mature people, we're all selfish assholes. We're all the bastards. I mean, really. Again, I smile because when I was a teenager, I was like, come on, stop being so mean. I mean, I know that I get irritated by assholes too, but they're not demons. There's no Lucifer in them. Look, they're just poor cowards. They keep on lying and lying and lying. And oh my God, what the fuck? I'm 4'9". I'm not that big of a giant. Oh wait, I'm confident. I forgot people don't like confidence. That's how Maria answered herself. By the time I was 20, I was like, hey God, so listen, I'm out. I'm going. I'm following Jesus, Holy Spirit, you. But those people in cloaks, they hurt children. They continue to hurt human being grown-ups, like physically and emotionally. And they actually don't respect sciences. And some don't want to because they think they're of more faith. What was it? Grounded in reality. Thank you, Sam Harris. Means you know that you don't know everything. No, that your cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. So emotionally immature people have the lack of complete objectivity to notice when they're making themselves out to be quote-unquote experts, and they're not. And they're simply forcing their hand because that's what happens when the brain gets dumbed down. It becomes this thing, stereotypes, generalizations. I remember learning how to stop getting dumbed down myself. Spiritual journeys don't change the destination, they transform the traveler, the road to Dharma. You need to be first your own self before you can access fully the spiritual journey, at least if you want to be within that 5D frequency, because that means your body is actually in its ventral vagal state. If 4D, 3D, they continue to believe in all of the stories of our ancestors, so we can thank them for carrying to YouTube land and anywhere else they will be, those which are our stories. And so it sounds a little bit like entertainment to us. It's a little bit like sad to say that once they exaggerate to the point of where they're cutting each other out of the herd, you're like, okay, that's your oversoul. Like, you're treating people that are supposed to be helping you to grow like shit. And we always have a biosphere, and then we don't fuck with it, is what the 5D will say, because we'll raise our frequency. But we don't think of our biosphere as paying us back, because when you meet emotionally immature people, they don't pay back. Like my facade friend, they got 5 Cusco hands. It's on, off, switch, on, off, in, out, blah, blah, blah. And their low frequency continues, but eventually they'll just stagnate in it. And that's why it's like, oh, okay. So once some people stagnate, they're done, because there's no more vitality, life force, none of it's, their child parts are not coming alive. They're just going to become grumpy, like, what's his face with the Smurfs? That guy, anyways, the guy that Gargamel. So yeah, you get to see Gargamel, and it's a Gargamel who's a teenager version. It's hilarious when you watch actually a Gargamel between the Smurfs. I'm just saying, I'm using new stories. Anything you respond to willingly becomes yours. That's the emotion intelligent brain. Thank you, Sadhguru. He doesn't know that he talks about integrated brains. So when you're present, the reason you can attune is because you're being curious about everything that's coming up. Yes, the attention is within yourself and then outside of yourself. That's why you're also self-agent. It's really fun to be able to share with people all night long, all day. Yes, the vitality and life force, which is what makes 5D amazingly impressive. You unconditionally love, because again, your biosphere doesn't pay you back. That's not really, I don't owe you anything, you don't owe me shit. We self-regulate in the absence of others, and we don't co-regulate, we differentiate. That's what present attuning, resonating means. So I'm picking up on the Mui. Thanks, Dr. Dan. I learned really great how to differentiate. So, oh, hey, Terrio, yeah, my biosphere is amazing. I keep it in harmony all the time because I'm an enlightened one. Guru, yes, prophet, all the words they mean, basically, in human words, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, emotionally mature, intelligent, mentally mature, intelligent, masters of themselves, be yourself. I'm 45. I was on a roll when I was 11, 12, 13, 14, because I said, no, I'm not going to close my heart because I'm sad because of all these fake teenagers being assholes. I'm going to not copy them. I learned from the grown-ups what the right way to do it is. My gut tells me what the right ways to do it. I can trust myself to keep myself safe. They, on the other hand, don't have anyone's back. And the more that they show me how they don't have anyone's back, the more like, wow, they're not having your back. When you go out with people who didn't have each other's back and you say no one had anyone's back, I was all by myself in the middle of a bunch of drug addicts, and I was not drugged because I don't need it. I like the music. No, they have each other's. No, they don't. They don't. Not when you're acting like a buffoon. You have nobody's back and just trying to hit on people and fuck each other. It's like, what the fuck? So when you go out, you just remember to go out with the people who are safe. I have a friend of mine, we would go out always together, and because my girlfriend and I would get tipsy every now and then, I have had the bad experiences about 5 times, that's it. The alcohol is really disgusting when you throw up, and yeah, it's actually, that feels more not like, oh my god, I'm so ashamed. It's more like, okay, are you that stupid? Because really, you're 4'9", your body treats you right, why are you doing this? So I didn't understand college students. I saw them as they vomited, peed in yards, fucked each other again. And when I was going out dancing, I didn't use the bathrooms to fuck people. I didn't switch it up. I was always like, what are they doing? I won't judge you, but don't you have any respect for that thing called body that is yours? So when people have shame and they don't heal it, it's not fun to see it on TV all the time. Every time I'm watching anything now, I'm just like, trauma, hey, trauma, hey, trauma. Shit, does everybody just need to keep doing this? I mean, hey, I'm laughing, but am I really laughing? No, I'm not. But is it going to work to manipulate words and say, it's likely that with willpower, you won't stop using the baby pacifier? I don't believe so, because a 3-year-old's going to be like, fuck you. And I would be like, fuck you too, like I did when I was a teenager. We're going to make you work out so that you can always work out. I'm not a monkey. You can't train me like that. Fuck you. You see what I'm saying? So authenticity is what the emotionally mature person wants. Emotionally immature people don't like any of it. They just like who their leaders are so that they can say, our scientists are right or our spiritual leaders are right and your guys are wrong. And you think, okay, I mean, hey, tomato, tomato. If you consciously respond to everything, you come in touch with the entire universe. It becomes yours. It's so true, Sadhguru. Akash, love, God. That's why we look like buffoons to those who are using one side of the brain, but we're not buffoons to those who use two sides of the brain. Join us. Human elements, spirituality, sciences, and humanities. They come together here at IHP to be Maria, and you get to be you. And you deal with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, unwanteds, all of that with your own heart, which is what the Inner Growth Mindset program is for. By the way, God is perfect in every way, shape, and form. I was grown with good Christian Catholic upbringing. So when they told me that the answer to the decentralizing in the self, where there's no demons inside of you, was that science is not needed by God, that's a bullshit answer, which is why I don't mean bastards. Nobody's really a bastard in that way, big words, but I actually find your reasoning is convincing and leads to success. I find donkeys annoying. I have learned, and I'm continuing to learn, how to be able to sit quietly inside my body. That's a meditative state. Because, when I get irritated, they're not like me. They're morons, emotionally immature and mentally immature. No, unintelligent. That's why when I made the little short, they wheel their mouths with unimpressive words. Unimpressive, because the minute you're intellectually savvy with emotional savviness and you hear lack of imagination for evil, and you know of a criminologist who gives you a scale and then scientists who prove there's no evil inside of people. Are you done playing with words? Oh, wait, you're playing to the crowd. That's right. Schopenhauer, what was it? Play to the masses? No, you want to reach a large audience? You play to the masses. Those are the people who like the convenience, everything, and that's a stupid consumer. I don't approach stupid consumers. It means they don't know how to use that which is called their inner world, which means they need Patrick Chan, because the only ones who have a bad gut, that don't understand what the difference between a guru and a cult leader are the same people who I've gotten to see in my courses as they then go and think that the spiritual journey is going to transform them, versus no, the therapist is going to transform you, because you're going to change and become yourself. I didn't lose myself. Then you're going to be on a spiritual journey because you can actually do the forgiving thing, because you can self-regulate. So when your heart gets broken, like when I was a little 11, 12, 13-year-old, I didn't say, oh, let me keep it closed. I said, I'm going to keep it open because I know what love is. My mom taught me. And why would I be a coward like every single one of these backstabbing assholes who are cowards? They're not Lucifers. They're little children playing pretend. They're mean. I still don't like children. I don't. None of them, even though I'm a grown-up. But see, that's my 8-year-old with my 11, 12, 13, 14, who's a 4'9" little girl who doesn't have the capacity to, no, my mother taught me what to do. No hands. Use your mouth. And I played with my sword once, and then I apologized to God because I actually hurt someone's feelings. I was like, I know I hurt them. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. And when people say until they do, no. Some of us, we're not tough, but open-ended inquiry apparently forces your body to get courageous and strong, and eventually you get curious. So empowered feminines, when we meet masculine after masculine, it's not testing, it's infuriating, and that's why God is good. He keeps you away from people who you tell how big of a piece of shit you think they are. But not like this, because see, I don't need to insult your character. I can eloquently have I wanted to, which I won't. I did it in my dream once, and I apologized, actually. Immediately, I did it the last time I wielded my mouth, the way that Maria could wield her mouth if she wanted to. It was in a dream. And it was directed at a human being who did, once they got the hit, said, no, I deserved it. I said, no, you didn't deserve it. And actually, no, it doesn't matter. I'm ashamed of that. I don't like to play these words. So you know what happened. You know why I'm saying it, but I'm sorry. I take it back. And this was very good that it was a dream. Again, I was very happy about it. So yoga, which is a ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises alongside meditation and mindfulness, which helps integration, but that's only if you own the sense of self. So if you don't, first you go own it, then you are going to continue expanding and you don't feel change. Thanks, Dr. Dan. So consciousness and change, one of his courses I took, besides IPMB framework, his PDP framework. So it's once you're emotionally mature that you don't cherry pick, and I've always not cherry picked. I've learned how to hear the grown-ups who have smarts to say, even when I don't like it, and actually that's why the confusing science spirituality. No, I'm not. I bring them together to help people to be their self. I'm a mystic too. Okay, I wasn't comparing myself to, but sure, So when you meet emotionally immature people, they always are in a competition. Their performance is a circus act, like my facade friend. They don't know how to be themselves. They're going to continue to pretend. And when you do begin to understand how, as a 45-year-old woman, I meet grown-ups who are grown up more than me, they're not grown-ups. And you treat them like children, which is why you don't say anything to them. You just allow them to share whatever it is. It's not trauma dumping. Not a healer, because they're not welcoming any shadow part back in. They're just letting their dumbass speak out. You allow them to be heard. So in my case, I enjoy meeting my brothers and sisters because I won't assume to know you. So I'm present, curious, open, accepting, and loving. I'm also connected to myself, and I'm accepting and loving. I will resonate because I'm differentiating here in my prefrontal, not empathizing with you, because that would be where I would co-regulate, but I don't have to. So as I'm attuning and resonating, I'm going to get to have fun because I trust you, because I don't need you to be an emotionally mature, secure human being. It doesn't matter. My facade friend, I learned his 5 hands. Bunch of other people, masculines, they don't test us. Once we see what you're capable of, 24 hours, at a certain point, you're done. You've shown me what your highest timeline is. 3D, 4D is going to hang out because they're cosmic geometry. They don't align it. So they can do the yoga. Brings demons out of you. No, it doesn't. After that session, that person could have went to therapy to figure out with somatic experiencing. No, to heal themselves. Instead, they went around spreading rumors. So did the other human being who thinks yoga brings demons out of you because he thinks there's a competition? No, because that makes him apparently a good Christian Catholic. And that's because of the ones who are not bringing us all together, but saying God doesn't need science. God doesn't need yoga. God, doesn't need shit. But you continuing to use that word and then continuing to spread rumors, well, that's kind of not nice. Bad grown-ups. That's a better word, not the bastard thing. Bad grown-ups are emotionally immature, which is why thankfully we have therapists who are going to be training other therapists to handle emotionally immature parents with their children so that they can avoid passing down the legacy of that which is very annoying to those of us who are emotionally mature. Stop cherry picking what you like and don't like. It's not convenient. What works is what is the smart thing. You want to help our herd? The legacy is what works. Science doesn't disprove things. It proves things and allows for experimental to continue, which is why lower the comfort. Experimental mindset, as she points out, scientific method, you grow every step of the way. I just call it the inner growth mindset, but she has a really great way of letting you know what a cynic is, the survival mode, and what to be aware of is about what is right, how it feels right. That's a cynic right there, as well as our lovely, what's his name, the Zen master, escapist. Let's see, curiosity, ambition, let go of ambitions, and they escape responsibilities, yes, by doing a lot of things that are very much uninteresting. Perfectionist, that's the not healthy version. They try to escape uncertainty through working and through ambition, high and low curiosity. So when you have healthy perfectionism, you have high curiosity, you have high ambition, you don't escape uncertainty because you know there's always the 50-50 chance. So my oversoul and my entire biosphere, my mui, is not going to pay me back because they don't know how to self-regulate, meaning this is how it works when you're securely attached, self-regulating. Don't need yoga, don't need mindfulness, don't need meditation, but you're doing all of it without the yoga. Did yoga. I do some yoga, but I didn't need it to get all geometrically aligned because I'm a 5D body type is what I call it. It's not anything real. Maria just coined the word from 5D frequency, Jesus, Christ consciousness. I believe in him and God and Holy Spirit, meaning that's my faith. And my faith never got broken because I know what assholes look like. And I know what buffoons look like. I'm very unimpressed, which is why God taught me how not to play know-it-all by the time I was 20. It's probably because I said, hey, there's no Lucifer. I'm pretty sure he knew what path I would take. Had he not taught me how to basically mind my own business when it comes to men and women dating each other for the wrong reasons. Which is why my facade friend, thanks to him, I don't yell at anybody in their face. And thanks to all of the oversoul, twin flames included, I know what masculines are capable of. Nothing. Once they're a divine anything is a capable human being who doesn't cherry pick what they like and don't like. They're not about convenience as everything in a stupid brain. They're about, wow, I'm a creature of habit, so every 24 hours counts. I'm a creature that has a sense of self. If I don't own it, then I don't know. So you see what I'm saying? They know what mental health professionals are here for. They support everybody to transform themselves if they need to. Once they own their sense of self, now the past is not living through them anymore. Comes up, they are aware of it, and they work with it like we do. That's why when we get triggered, we know what we're triggered about. Like every time I have stuff come up, I work with the people in our collective when we're going to have our workshops. with the 8th and 9th chakra. I'm going to do it too. You're going to help me. I'm going to help you. That's what we're here for. As securely attached, non-traumatized people, we get to be the emotionally mature ones who know our reasoning is convincing and leads to success, because we don't choose convenience over everything. We choose that what works is what is going to take the lead, and our stories, spiritual ones, don't have to die, but they're not necessarily in the lead when it comes to insulting human beings who need help. And we don't need to pat them on the back or shame them because we have the laws. People who want to be bigger than the laws, those are all self-righteous, contemptuous batons who have scarlet letters they want to hand out to each other, which is what makes them hypocrites. And like I told my facade friend, I told you what I told you because you judge a book by its cover. So anytime I'm meeting somebody who is actively making a judgment and a statement in the absence of noticing, you have effective realism going on. Your strong emotions, they seem to make you think you know facts. You got a dumb brain going on right now because your hippocampus is so saturated cortisol because you're dumbed down by your ego. Your left brain just took over. I'm not in the room with a human being who knows what they're talking about. I'm in a room with a cherry picker, and you picked what you liked, and you didn't notice that what you don't like has validity. You're a dumbass. Excuse me, I can't tell you that in your face because my mother taught me manners. If you can't say something, I should say nothing. And also Stephen Porges taught me what biologically rude people do. They don't notice they're being assholes, and they can't give you back, because insecure people, like my facade friend, after 5 years of not talking to him, tell him the story. Tell him why I told him. You judge a book by its cover. Gave him a long lecture for 2 days until finally universe stepped in to make us laugh together. I said, I'm only here because I said friend, and I know you have none. And he says, why? I don't know how you can do this stuff. And I was like, what, be an actual friend? Because that's what friends are for, good and bad times. And that's the part of where when someone wants to tell me that people can use words and randomly, to me, I'm still that same child. If you say friend and we're not the same, I was rejected at 4. Different just means different. What the fuck? Don't you know how to repair splinters and ruptures? Does something recalibrate? Yes, there are times where things recalibrate when your biosphere is being fucked with, because your mui has in the in-between a person who's closed off, which is where those emotionally immature people are, which is why the therapist nutshell lady gives the model with the other lady of how to handle them. I know easily how to handle him because I'll protect Maria's biosphere every single day, since she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All my child parts are here, so I don't feel threatened or like I'm with unsafe people. I just know I have hypocrites. My facade friend showed me what they do. After 3 years, I find myself yelling in his face. All I asked was to be yourself, and it was in a car after I found out shit that I didn't know anything about. And at that point, I just stopped telling people anything and everything. No, I didn't really bother. He's like a brother to me. So once you learn something, you don't bother with it because you can pick up on the repeat patterns. It is your choice to be either a piece of creation or part of the source of creation. And so the cosmic geometry that lovely Sadhguru talks about, he doesn't realize that it's when you're a securely attached, non-traumatized person who can self-regulate, who has an integrated brain, and who doesn't need the other people around you to be in a happy mood because you have your ventral energy. And that is why you create a distance between you and your body, between you and your mind. That is the end of suffering. Thank you again, Sadhguru. So when you're able to use your prefrontal cortex, that's why emotions last 90 seconds. They're really amazing. And even we, as we grow up, still work with things from our past because it comes up. And when that happens, you know how to work with it. And it's not by what's convenient. It's with what works. And what works is to explore it with the ego in mind and the self, which is why we don't dehumanize or demonize or call people names. So like with the twin flame thing, when I had a bunch of not securely attached human beings completely irritated, but not just irritated, they were actually continuing to be upset at the dynamic. And I, on the other hand, was not upset in the way of, oh my God, I'm going to physically die alone. I didn't give two shits. I can die alone. I have a twin, excuse me. That explains why my implicit memory, I'm not alone with the bear. So I needed to share that one because we're all made different, all bodies, but we all are still the same because we're all humans. And each of us have a mammalian heritage which wants at least one securely attached figure. Like this is explained from science. Which why I was like, okay, that's why all the teenagers are making such a big deal out of one breakup. I just said the grown-ups were wrong. My first relationship, love them just the same. All people love the same because love doesn't change because I'm consistently on. emotionally mature people. We don't cherry pick our friends based on their good traits or bad traits. Again, you unconditionally love with flaws and imperfections. And once you said the word friend and you become it, like when one of my friends like, why are you friends with him? And I actually didn't know how to answer, and I felt a little bit guilty because I'm like, I love my friend. Am I teasing them like a bad teenager version of, you know what? He knows what I think about him. I'm just going to answer that person again because I couldn't sleep at night. No, I did sleep, but I thought about it. And I said, yeah, no, I didn't let it go because I knew my friend was going to tease me about it. I was like, I took your question seriously and I want to answer it. And actually, I wanted to answer it to respect my friend, even though he is completely imperfect, completely a buffoon, completely annoying to the fuck of me. Like, seriously, this is where this friend of mine pushes my buttons at times. But I told him we're friends, and he is a child who I won't ever let die alone because that's not nice. Everyone deserves love, like I told the teenagers. And even the ugly duckling learned how to become a beautiful. No, like those stories, man. You don't need to become a beautiful swan. You can stay an ugly duckling like Sid and still have a herd. And that's the part of why there's beauty behind every single bit of everyone. And it's sad to say that those who still make monsters out, they get on screen and play Russian roulette, and you think you're not a good father. You're just a man who has yucky thoughts, and wow. And they speak everything on screen with the very same teenager-ish attitude. So I used to think of badass in a certain way. I grew up with action movies and whatnot. I remember moving out of the 3D frequency and thinking, that's nice. I am a future human after all. But the point is that this man, as he's doing this, he doesn't know what strategist means. I know what strategist and what emotionally mature, intelligent human beings, all of them, I have no shadow of a doubt. It doesn't matter, CIA, police, you name it, wherever they're at, the emotionally intelligent ones, they're not cherry picking. And you better bet that they're out there. There's not only one of us who are smart enough to know how to align with God and Source, Akash, apply the spiritual essence of love, activate in God's will with Mother Earth's fifth dimension, also the planets in Dharma, not karma. And yeah, I know when the timeline shifted. So we can't prove it, the spiritual ones. It's okay. Our reasoning is not convincing us in a way of brainwashing us. It leads us to success because we know we're going to choose what works and we're going to know what doesn't work. We're not going to choose things based on what we like and don't like a little 3-year-old who's a 16-year-old who, with a spoon full of sugar, I ain't going to sugarcoat it. You want sugar? No, I'm not Mary Poppins. So we don't actually treat emotionally immature people like anything different. 3D, 4D, they get treated like us because also they don't know the difference. They're not bilaterally. So my facade friend, when I'm yelling at him in the car, I also am finding out that everything I spoke to him on those first 2 days meant nothing. So do you know how uninteresting it is to know that you poured your heart out to someone that you love dearly? Like my facade friend who's a brother, he went through a bunch of shit with me. I went through a bunch of shit with him, and then comes to be, it's like I never even talked. When people forget things that are of the utmost importance of your heart, that's like, okay, number 1. Okay, number 2. Okay, by the 3rd time, this is not by chance. This is your pattern. You've chosen it, and that's why emotionally immature people, they're not interested in connecting with you because they're not connected within their own self. And so self-serving in those instances means the biosphere is not fucked with because me is where I'm able to tune, resonate, and trust because I'm present. My facade friend, I didn't stop loving him. Like this human being who's an asshole and who pokes and whatever. I wasn't going to become his friend, but somebody said, you're being mean. You're friends with everybody else. You can be friends with him. And today, when I repeat the story to the human being, no, I didn't. Yes, you did, because that's the only reason I acquiesced, was you made me out to be mean because I was friends with everybody else except for that one. And I had chosen not to become friends with that one. After the first day of talking to them, they were very much like a little my head was like, oh my god. And they were talking really bad shit about the city I love, Naples, Italy. And I was like, yep, 2 strikes, you're out. You're a moron. And so I tell my friend, he knows what I think, and then every now and then he's like, you know I'm smart. Yes, I know you read a lot of books and can regurgitate them. Of course I know you're knowledgeable. You're very cultured. Sure, yes. Apparently you still think of things like yesterday's news and you don't move out of it. But hey, yes, I'm not saying you're dumb. Not in a way of insulting you. So that's why I told the friends who made fun of me being friends, I said, well, because we're friends now. And don't we all have flaws and imperfections anyways? So, I mean, at the end of the day, And what's funny is as I move forward in life, I'm starting to notice those Pinocchios, and they turn into like Mean Girls and Hangover, which are not fascinating. It makes me think of college students who think fraternity, closing your rooms and making you do disgusting shit, and sororities is something that you should think is cool. It's not cool. It's like the popular kid who I ended up starting to notice the grown ups are right. They're not cool. They're always getting themselves in trouble. They're always doing bad things. They actually don't have anybody's back. They keep on getting very, very much into trouble, almost prison kind of trouble. They're hanging out with people who are doing really illegal things. It's just not going to look good. Anybody ever watch the Al Pacino thing? What was it called? The one where he ends up with all that cocaine and he's a lost soul. Like, anybody ever not notice how in movies? I mean, I know we have an issue with the system and all and whatnot, but if you go to that side, you have no way to protect yourself, and it's not going to look good. So, when someone actually thinks, "Let me go and be in the group with the people who actually can beat each other up, do things that are horrible," yeah. So when the beginning of the mafia and the Camorra, okay, anybody who ever watched Godfather, I looked at it from a political, sociological standpoint. It was very fascinating. And that's why it's fascinating to know about politics and have smart professors teach you. Because when we were looking at watching, I hadn't watched it because I was uninterested in the entire series, but we watched it to see how society went through changes, which is why it's not the polyamory community that is the reason for there being so many unfaithful people. Polyamory means you're choosing consensually to talk about everything, and then you have your polyfidelity vessels for some of us. Ones who say, "You're not poly enough," that's not an emotionally mature person. That's actually not even love. So love is very much straightforward. I will always want your best interest. You will want my best interest. Highest timeline. But we accept, love, respect each other too. Okay, so it's you do you and I do me, and that's why, again, you don't fuck with the we or the biosphere of a person who is within our 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful collective. It's all emotionally mature people who don't cherry pick what we like and don't like. We actually make fun of it with ourselves and the world, and then we smart people continue to hang out. And when we meet the ones who get all in their hissy fit, we just understand that we're going to not want to hurt anybody's feelings every 24 hours is what matters. So their habits, their thoughts, their interests, their investment in food, activity, all of it, every 24 hours. It's actually, life is serious. Life is short. And when you realize that you are here to, so for me, I already know I align with Akash Source, God, and everything that I've spoken about, the spiritual stuff. Spiritual journey is transformative because you have your sense of self. You believe in yourself, you are yourself, use your human name. Now that you're overflowing in humanity, thank you, Sadhguru, you're going to be overflowing with divinity. We don't need that word. We don't need to dress us up because also divinity is perfection. And when cosmic karmic balancing takes place, and you see it, if you're a person, empowered feminine was worried sick, okay, maybe not worried anymore, okay, okay, we're good. Yay, this is so great news. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is how it works, because none of those who are masculines are pieces of shit. Like I said, everyone comes in. You get the good end of the stick or you got the short end of the stick. And as humans who get a good end of the stick, what are we going to do? We're going to provide those who are on the other end of the spectrum. Hey, ugly duckling, basically, you are loved and welcomed, but you can't make the ugly duckling become a swan. That's for the ugly duckling to do, and that's where every person who has the short end of the stick either ends up going to therapy and becoming the beautiful swan they were meant to be, because they get that mask off, and instead of being liars like my facade friend and all these other morons, they get to be an actual piece of aliveness. And in fact, this is where, let's read George Fowler, because he has a really nice quote. I've read this one to you all, and Dan Martell, love the man, as he points out, there's good leaders. They know there's only one person responsible if you're not winning, but there's a whole team responsible if you are. A title doesn't make you a leader, your actions do. Thank you, Dan Martell. And he also mentioned something about success just means a person who's not ever going to give up on what they believe in. And here's where, when you are supporting others the authentic way, you're not cherry picking again. You're not caring if they like it or don't like it in this way of vanity metrics. It's, we know what works, and trauma does not need to produce marked distress in the traumatized person, who must merely experience it as harmful. Joshua Coleman. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. Trauma does not need to produce marked distress. Ah, yes, now it does. So when you're in therapy, they do a little sliver. It's a little bit of the trauma stuff. You don't want it to be too big. That's at least my interpretation to you. While the people who think that mental health professionals don't know what they're doing, they know exactly what they're doing. They're helping you to work with your window tolerance to then expand it to stop using unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, which will make it smaller. Once you have a window welcome to your emotional stuff, now that you are mature, I would do the rest of my life now. That's how it happens sometimes. So the gaslit children, they stay gaslit, they continue to whine about emotions, and then they become Zen masters who tell us about how enlightenment is not a possibility. He was trying to make a very valid conversation on charlatans. What he ended up doing was saying nobody can be enlightened because you have laundry. That means he doesn't know how to cry with his prefrontal cortex. He lacks integration and emotional maturity. And so he made an entire speech that flopped, unimpressed. Once he was done with it, I'm making fun of it because it's like, you're not a Zen master. You're a title. You're not a leader. You just have a word. So high performers, no, they're circus acts. So I'll see through the title. I'll see through the clothes. I won't judge you. In fact, I will wait to watch you walk and talk. And once I'm done, I will know who you are. While those with masks don't know who they are. My friends looking at me like that. And I'm like, okay, I did an episode on that. And I'm like, they don't know their subconscious. As Pat Ogden points out, non-metabolized trauma time comes out. So 0-8-year-old continues to play on a wheelhouse, which is why you don't treat them like shit. Leave it alone. They're not really going to integrate those pieces that you see because they're not aware of them. They're not self-reflective. With the objective psych education, wow, did my ego just play out some shit that was mine to deal with and I just projected and brought it into the biosphere? I mean, healer had chamadam. That was a person being very mean to another human being and then telling us on screen. I make fun of people and admit it. They're going to think I'm a deserve to be saluted. And I said, hey, inside of me, it's not about decency. This is a stranger. I chose not to be his friend. After 3 years of consistent, I was the bitch like my men friends said I had to be. Because they said, you're too nice. You hug, you're polyamory, we're confused. So you also don't use your words right, Maria. Oh, it doesn't piss me off because I watched a man who made me very well aware of how stupid men are. I'm not joking. I was infuriated by this man. And there were all these married couples laughing together. And I'm like, oh my God, they're married to monkeys. Because a monkey will do a better job than these men are and these women who are... This was a 3-day thing. Because I said, I need to watch this. I can't believe this is real. This is a human being, one with a title, a pastor. And I don't know what his background is, but he's talking to men about their brains being boxes and not being able to touch. And women are haywired to be chaotic. And so it's basically the example he gives is, you know, women, if you put the laundry basket for them to see, but you expect them to know that they have to pick it up and bring it up the stairs, that's not going to work. You have to specifically tell them. And I'm like, what are they, babies? Then again, hey, I'm a child too. So yes, sometimes my mother will maybe leave something and I won't notice it. And when she yells at me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know it. So I'm not a man. I still have the boxes. And basically, you need to spoon feed. Sometimes I won't think about it. You know what I mean? Like so is that a positive? It's an honest answer. This guy, though, is making it seem like every man is this, and the men are all laughing, and the women are all laughing, and I'm infuriated because I'm like, what kind of an example are you leading? Are all men and women going to grow up thinking this shit is real? And in the meantime, I got all these other morons, men and women, saying that's how it is, that's how it is. I'm like, okay, so you're all, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Polyamory people, apparently, according to some, we overestimate the usage of your brain, the capacity for you to use it. So they're calling you dumbass. This is the part of why I'm like, they're all calling humans idiots and they're accepting it. Don't be so serious. No, I'm not being serious. I'm actually aware today. Thank you, mental health therapists, because thanks to them, some people will choose to become smart. And then some will become Gargamel with the Smurfs, which is why, again, to that person, I'm like, once you're friend with someone, you don't take it back because we all can be quirks. And so there you go. That's an answer. We all will have compassion because it's not nice to point fingers at the weak ones, by the way. That's called shame, blame, fault, revenge. No, that's actually called not nice, which is why sweet revenge is only for me. I'm sharing it with y'all. Good always wins. That's how it feels when you're a kid. And like, stop talking about all these people like that. I promised Jesus that I would love. Everyone deserves love. They just broke up with you. Like, wow, this is getting really nasty. You're making me uncomfortable right now. You really are. Why are you taking their side? I'm not taking a side. You're just making me very uncomfortable. The squirrel from Cusco now, and once it comes out, it's like, you can't justify what you're doing right now. It's not just words. Your words matter now. because you're bringing me into your very, and so when somebody is ruminating and they're just off on a roll and they're spitting shit out, it's not trauma time. You're just viciously getting into your angry brain circuit. Now you've become the squirrel from Cusco, and you're justifying words that have no sense, and you're actively talking in a way of a person. So this is why it's not funny. There are some of the loneliest moments on the planet. These moments. What moments? Thanks, George Fowler. When you have a person and people near you, I'm modifying it, who promise to offer vitality, like my facade friend, who promise to offer life force, like my facade friend, who promise connection, sure, warmth, and instead the person doesn't even know you. That's what it feels like. But it doesn't feel like that once you get past one buffoon. They're all the same. And so emotionally immature people, they cherry pick, and whenever it is they like and don't like, that's why it's an on-off switch. It's okay, we get used to it. So they're not perfect, we're not perfect. And when emotionally immature people choose convenience over everything, that's because they chose to let their stories, adaptive child part people, they just do, they follow their leaders, and then they say that their leaders are the right ones, and every other leader over there is the wrong one, and that's the minute you know they don't know what true leadership is. True leadership chooses what works and doesn't work, which is why science doesn't get put in a box and shoved away. Smart human beings know why science is science. And I've told you about this one. Is it in this phone? In case you didn't tune into that one. It was really good. I looked up belief and science, because people like that, don't you believe in evil? No. No, there's Michael Stone, his forensic criminologist scale proves every single bit of what I've also learned in my mental health professional courses, all of them, attachment trauma, everything. BPD, learned from Dr. Daniel Fox that a person who is going to meet kindness will doubt it. Doubt it, doubt it, doubt it, test it, test it, test it, test it, test it. When you're neutral, you have some shit hiding behind your back, so they're going to keep testing you. I don't jump through hoops though. I don't get tested, but when he's talking about it, I remember how Kylie rejected her boyfriend when he said, I love you. And she's like flipping out on him, and she's throwing all the shit out the window. Like, she tells her story better. She's a healing narcissist, so she's in remission with borderline. I tip my hat to Kylie if you ever watch my content. I'm proud of Kylie. Kylie's doing hard work. I'm proud of a lady who's healing from DID, and every single person. Why? Because they had it hard. I didn't have it hard. I'm proud of me? Yeah, but I'm more proud of them. They leave a legacy behind for all of the ones who have it the hardest, the short and the stick, and it's like, oh, look, you're not demons or devils. I told a human being in their eye, you're not evil. There's no devil, demon. Whoever told you this shit, this is not true. You're not a monster. And this is a person who's rainbow baby child. I gave them a number of crystals to support them, and when I heard the news, demon, no, look at me. There's no demons. There's people who have problems and need help, and if they do, great, and if they don't, well. So when you have a group of people who think they're better than others, and they're like those disciples from Sadhguru's story where they're surrounding a compulsive thief versus helping them, no, that's not nice. If you're going to do anything nice, it's called an intervention. That's what smart, emotionally mature people do. The immature ones just support each other's bad habits, and then they continue acting like Pinocchio. Backstabbing liars are what teenagers were when I was a teenager. They still are the same once they grow up. The difference is they think they're badass, which is why it's unimpressive to watch a man on a screen like that and speak his mouth in ways that are completely buffoonery. But guess who's going to believe in him? Yeah, the ones who are like, no, Patrick McNamara and science can't disprove demons. They did and they do, and the fact that you're denying it now makes me know you're in magical thinking land. Has nothing to do with God, has nothing to do with spirituality, has everything to do with stories from the past, and science has shown you what today is in an embodied brain. You don't have to believe in it. Call it virtual reality, call it fake, call it whatever you want. 3D, 4D, they're the ones who could use Patrick Tiahan to notice why their CPTSD isn't getting better, to notice that they still have childhood trauma living through them, to actively not only get their embodied brain safe and all that great stuff, but then continue with intuitiveness, consciousness, and sciences. Look at it. All of that, which is, so consciousness expands always. Humans evolve always. We are always going to evolve. Our species came from caves, this is the part. It's not sweet revenge for real. I've always known humanity's awesome. We came from cells. Science is like amazing. It just tells miracle in a science words versus the God word. But please, creating a museum where you don't teach Darwinism, but you teach Adam and Eve, a fake story. You lied to me. Bad grown-ups. You don't lie to child. My mother taught me what to do with liars. Nothing. A belief is a subjective acceptance that something is true. I believe in you, God. So when your cherishable beliefs are falsifiable, God is the one thing I believe in. And again, I was raised with good Christian Catholic. Other than that, I became a mystic with clairs. And it's amazing to do Akashic record readings. And it's amazing to know scientists. And it's amazing to help people on personal and spiritual growth because you're doing it for real, not pretend. So transforming is for the people who go to get therapy, then they become their swan, and then they come and have a good time. 3D, 4D, they're still going to have fun, but they're very small frequency. And they have a good guy and a bad guy, and girls and all that. They have a good team and a bad team. We have good grown-ups, emotionally mature, bad grown-ups, bastards, assholes, but they're not to the extent of me worrying about a cult leader or a guru. No, I'll know how to discern. Like I said, the Zen master. Laundry, you're not a Zen master because you still don't know how to do your emotional maturity. You're not strong yet. You're not courageous. You're not vulnerable. You're not curious. You're not having fun in life. You're not aware to be present. You don't know how to use your prefrontal. Determine, Robert Sapolsky, I think you might be right. Those first 3 years, they really commit to them. The ones who choose convenience over everything. So I, for example, had a very, very, very obtuse, grandiose osteopath who got in my face at a certain point when I said, can you please not do this? Because I cried. Like, seriously, this was one of the most horrible cries I've ever had because it came from, because he did this thing and when he reacted, instead of responding, I'm sure his father treated him that way or somebody did, his mother, someone, and those manners were accepted way back when. And so some people think, well, then you didn't go back. No, I did go back because I don't cherry pick based on my preferences. I cherry pick. No, I know what works, and I had gained inches with him, and my back was better, and he also cares about what he does. So just because he has a buffoon ego doesn't mean I'm not going to go back and pay for services. I'm a smart consumer because I'm a smart person, because I care about Maria's best interest, because I'm a selfish person. My mother taught me health and how to be a smart consumer. And I know how to be an emotion intelligent marketer, and I dislike all of the ones who are manipulative and treating consumers like dumbasses. But guess how many people cherry pick and are dumbasses, which is why they all ran off of Facebook after not a docu-series, and then they ran back on it, which is why you don't follow your peers, the teenagers who are idiots, because you can tell a mile away the unimpressive wielding of a mouth, because you're going to tell me what you like and don't like, and the way you do it is going to show me exactly. So you don't believe it? No, I don't believe in that. I actually have data over here, but I'm not the data lady. I'm the pseudoscience woo lady who fucks it up and forgets it because I don't regurgitate shit. Because it's a waste of my fucking time and I don't want to be here. Oh, thank goodness. There's another weak spot. Maria doesn't know how to regurgitate information, but I realize what God blessed me with. Everything. Because had I been able to, I would have wasted so much time with people. I wanted to be about what it is right now. It feels right that are so boring today as I'm grown up. And it's because they have no life force. They have no vitality. They got left. Sure. I mean, I can laugh only a certain amount of times. The friend of mine who bugs me, when he's bugging me for real, like there's times I will be like, I don't hit him in a bad way, but I hit him because he's big and he has strong hands. And whenever I'm like, dude, you need to learn how to handle your hands. Your hands are heavy. And he doesn't learn it. And when he's leaning on me, I'm like, okay, dude, come on. I'm 4'9". You weigh down. I'm not strong. Oh, but he still doesn't learn. He's like a child. He's a child who's on a wheelhouse. So they become more annoying as they grow up. And I don't know what he's going to look like, but I want my friend to live a long life. I told him, I said, you need to make me a letter if you die and I'm not around, because I want to know. And I said, I'm serious. I need you to make sure that I know if you ever die and I'm not around, because I don't know what would have. And I think he's gonna have it done, because he is that type of square person. So if not, it's okay. I'll get over it. I'm sure I will learn. But science. So while belief is a subjective acceptance, science is a process for building objective evidence-based knowledge, and it's through rigorous testing and falsifiability. While personal beliefs are not a part of the scientific process, I'm sure you know this, but let's do the AI overview. They can influence scientific research by introducing bias, which is why when you see dogma and pseudo-intellectuals, it's hilarious because that's what happens when you're a smart brain and you're not cherry-picking. You're like, okay, that's funny. Oh, look, that's funny. Oh, that's funny too. Oh, look, that's funny. Hey, look, they're bringing forth their dogma with all their Yeah, have fun. Bye. See you later, alligators. I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to be around Venture Energy much longer because that's how tiresome it is to see someone who has consistent vitality, life force. No, to perceive it, because the body of another person is always reminded of what they're capable of. That's why I'm not special. You're not special. We're all special. We all can be ourselves, science and spirituality, authentically, emotionally mature, intentional living. That's the part. Beginner's mind, the breath. So meditative state is for those of us who have ventral vagal state, and we're always on because we're called emotionally mature people who have an integrated brain, and we own the sense of self. So our practices, the mindfulness, mindsight, inner growth ones, paid on Spotify and other podcast platforms, those things that we will come together to do in our workshops with the patron membership content, me still working on that. When we will also have at some point live workshops, it's because we get to continue to harness that which is the most amazing of our lifetimes. That isn't something new. So while spirituality didn't know the word restorative embodiment, now we do. And it's called people who are self-led. They're mentally, emotionally intelligent because they're using two sides and all of the brain. And really, again, integration of the brain, kindness and compassion. But it doesn't seem like kindness and compassion to people who have unhealthy boundaries and unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. They feel pressured. So they don't like equanimity, calm-centeredness, nor discernment, which means you don't cherry pick. Patrick McNamara proves there's no demons. Stop it. There's no entities. But if you need a narrative, that's because you haven't completely healed. And so your body is needing to stay offline. So you do numbing agents. You escape reality. So between drinking, drugging, fucking, inner outer critics, stories, movies, whatever it is, being around people, that's the part. Being around stories. A story narrative isn't you integrating. No, it's the left brain creating some bullshit story. So when you don't have the ego view and self in the forefront and say, this happened to me. This is a physical situation that took place in my life that I'm going to, with open-ended inquiry, it's not forcing yourself to get strong, courageous, and curious. That's where vulnerability is the most amazing. You're connected with yourself. You're not denying that you exist. But who has the challenge with being seen? The ones who were unseen, which is why they have shamans for the unseen. And the one friend of mine, he's a shaman for the unseen. You should see how people flock to his cauldron. I've seen it happen. One of the times I'm like, look at how they go to him. There were 3 human being men. I've become friends with them. And I got made fun of that one too, but they're really great. This is the part. The low end of the stick doesn't mean they're not amazing. They're all children are good children. The ones who end up on the evil scale, they end up in prison. And the ones at the end, I feel really like, wow, what the fuck happened to you? The ones in the middle, I have nothing to say except for the only reason they're being followed and they're called charming is because of the first 0 to 9 who get into trouble for no other reason except for they didn't get a good start like the other ones. And so when you know that science can heal everyone, I said, hey God, we won. Science helps everyone to get to the kingdom of God. I didn't say it like that. I said, hey God, so science has it all figured out. They know how to help humans. We're not needed anymore. But can we stay? Because it's really fun to stay. Can we continue to expand? And I was like, oh. And I was like, so that's how a 5D mystic responds to when you find out science has it all figured out on how to help human beings to be the best, to be who they are, to be happy inside. When I was 8, I said, I'm going to help people to be happy in life. And I know it's to be yourself. So today it's now like becoming a trending topic. Like, wow, no shit, Sherlock. But it's not bad that it's trending because it's good because the science knows what works to help you become yourself. And then the pretenders are always going to be the ones who don't actually know what the difference is between belief and what science is. And we always say, yep, science. Thanks, Thomas Campbell. It does prove the truth. It's not fragile. Love and good always wins. Our species is not dumb. It's part of human nature. And our lovely bears are not evil either. So the ones who are afraid of nature, I mean, I don't want to go to a forest, but that's because I'm actually from the present and the future. I'm okay with being protected from the bear. Ow. I'm 4'9". My herd would basically shame me just because, oh, she's a small one. Let's throw her there. We can run faster. We have longer legs. I would sacrifice myself for my herd. Yes. No, I wouldn't. Nah. Yes, I would. That's how it works. If you're a person who has the capacity to sense the sense of self, feel life, and you know what? Even for the psychopathy bandwidth, when they're raised in the correct environment, you find that they are quick to make the right decision. And it's unfortunate that TV shows are rumors and pop culture, and that people who begin to become morons by the time they're adolescents continue to just watch that shit. They don't get informed, and then they get reactive when you say, look, psychopathy and sociopathy, and some are debating this, and all of narcissists, they're not evil. There's nothing to be afraid of. Stop being mean to DID people. Like, don't. That we can identify who needs more help, and there's no need for anybody to. So when I talk about topics, some people are like, oh, that's no, and I say, look, science is proving it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't tell anyone anything. Demons, I saw it happen, Maria. Yeah, I've had more than one conversation about demonic possession and what has taken place in the institutions, the churches, the whatever, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I know what you're saying. I know how attachment trauma works and how holding someone down is completely going to re-traumatize them. But hey, don't take my word for it. Scientists know how to handle those situations. The ones who believe in it, I'm so sorry, there's the ones who don't. So yes, we have the good scientists and the bad ones. Emotionally immature scientists, they cherry pick. That's why they don't go and hang out with all their colleagues, which is the moment that a smart brain, emotionally mature brain says, yeah, you're not in the sphere. You're not a leader. You're just a buffoon who's grabbing all that you know. And now that you think you know everything, you think, oh, I'm not going to fall for the shit. I'm going to still take the golden nuggets, but I'm going to follow the smart people. Like with Neil deGrasse, I'll go and listen to him all day long because he knows what he's talking about, or Bill Nye. I won't go and listen all day long to someone who's removing themselves from a situation, because at a certain point I'm going to notice that you're only bringing forth that which is your hypotheses, your conclusions, which are qualitative at best. So this is the part of where here we talk and chit chat. When you do mentorship, when you do personal spiritual growth, it's not a one box, one size fits all. Like with my osteopath, and he was good at what he does. He still is good. I just found also other osteopaths, and I found the Schroff method and other things. But also what it is he taught me how to do right with the exercises he gave me. So that's when you're working with a professional, the ones who will make you independent with that which works for you. And because it works, like Dr. Daniel Fox presents, maladaptive patterns, they come back up. As maladaptive behavior patterns are the way unhealthy self-soothing people do it. And that's why with Patrick Chan, why CPTSD is not getting better. Disturbances of self-organization. Relationships are still a struggle because they weren't safe. And when you have shame, you're always performing. So it gets harder and harder as you're trying to make sure you please in a way that, and that's why you don't own emotions or affect. Your window of tolerance don't get bigger because it never got tended to in the first place, and it shrinks with those bad habits. Then we got sense of self, not owned, because you haven't begin to become your sense of self yet, because you don't own all of the 0-8-year-old stuff. You don't do shadow with people on a screen. You don't do shadow work. No, you do it with these psych educators that do EMDR, psychosocial somatics, help you to learn your window tolerance, like Dr. Daniel Fox does, and Siegel, and all these other people. They use different words, but the point is, once a person's taking themselves seriously, that's why, as therapists will say, I saw one of them. She's like, transformation happens within the room. And I'm like, yes, it does. And I've seen the ones like Kylie who are healing. So once you know what happened, so in Kylie's case, when she rejected the love of her life, because they're both in therapy and educated, he's a sociopath, she's a narcissist with the borderline and in remission, and they get hate mail by morons who are ignorant. And they'll say, oh, you don't believe it? No, I don't believe in evil. I know that there's a forensic criminologist scale. Why are you still using philosophical religious yesterday's textbook? Are you a spiritual bypasser? You don't believe in equanimity, because that's what they are to a person who will know. Are you trying to save yourself? Do you have a charge? Your self-righteous baton is coming through every single inch of port. Cherry picking is not fascinating. It's, again, very obvious to the emotionally mature mind and eye. And to the brain who thinks because you learn and have all this great information. Like, what are you doing? Like when someone will ask for a shortcut for integration, it's like, okay, you got the explanation. There's no shortcuts. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for a new synapse connection to be created. That's because of creating a positive sides of neuroplasticity. So you're working against, quote unquote, that which is your habitual convenient route, which is why, thank you, Kylie, for being a narcissist who's healing and showing the world how you're doing it. And to her sociopath boyfriend who knew what was going on, kept all the stuff, she calmed down, got out of that. It's called black and white thinking, or split thinking, where it's completely, you have no idea it's happening. And I know all about it, Kylie. If we ever talk, I'll share with you this one moment and more of my life, because I know you'll know what it is. And I mean, I swear, when I got this interaction that I got, I was like, wow, that's pretty excessive. It's like, when I got accused of being a person who wants not good to happen to a person in a way that I'm like, that's. So I remember the teenage boyfriend when I'm arguing with him about me believing in God in my bones. Effective realism has ting. That's what a 5D mystic can tell you, or a somatic empath in human words, science's words. You'll pick up the mui. That's why I said you don't fuck with mui or my biosphere, because Maria self-regulates. And so I'll know to differentiate, as Dr. Daniel Siegel suggested. Let me finish. They can influence scientific research by introducing bias, and scientists must be aware of this to avoid hindering progress or ignoring valid data. That's why, like Neil deGrasse, he stays grounded in reality. Then we got the ones like flat earthers who are going to continue doing their shit. And it's all good, because intelligent minds, we're not influenced by our implicit, explicit memory or deluded by our imagination. Thanks, Sadhguru. Paraphrasing, changing it up. Let him who would move the world first move himself. Socrates. And as Aristotle thought, a friend is a person that you will consider as your second self, a friend that you love. And if they're a friend, you're going to always love them. And it's someone whose pain feels like your own. Emotions are not contagious. We calibrate to each other because we're a herd. Again, biology, neuroscience, neurobiology. Science doesn't disprove God. We're part of the same species. And the earth, we're part of it too. So those of us who are our own true selves, we are not confused with science and spirituality, because we don't have a confused, gaslit gut, because our implicit memory and explicit wasn't fucked with. So when you're self-led, it's you don't fuck with a grown-up who's a teenager and a child who knows exactly who smart human beings are and what their timbre sounds like, and who's got God chiming in. Remember, don't judge them. I'm not God. I'm telling them all about how suffering works. So we accept defeat. Some will stay in their low frequency. It's not because they have to, but if they got the short end of the stick and they don't want to get the psych education, they don't want to get themselves into their highest timeline, you're not going to make them. That's the free will God talks about. Other than that, we got determined with no free will. I mean, for me, personally, it's not a big difference, because an emotionally immature people, like my stop bugging me, they stay, but I've seen how they attract to their cauldron, because those are the same people who put that they did great. Yeah, they did great for where they came from. You realize it's a different time, right? 2025, yeah, great. No, you still want to copy that buffoon? Go for it. Gargamels, there you go. So you got the, what are they? Adult pacifiers, adult playgrounds. You got a bunch of people who share things like, oh, let's not be serious about life. Sure, keep having the children. Emotionally immature, thank goodness there's therapists who now know how to talk about you and to get you in a room. Maybe at one point you'll realize, okay, we want our children to grow up to be healthy when they grow up, not unhealthy. You know, this is the part of selfishness, which is why when Patrick Chan says, sure, your parents did the best they could at ignoring signs, but Patrick, we know it wasn't until recently that we could all find out about this smart stuff. So, like my osteopath's behavior as an osteopath was ignorant, and even when I went back to him for help, he's yelling at me in a way that is unnecessary. And his colleague calls me, are you stupid? And I ignore the colleague because I'll take it from him. He's my doctor and he's had good results. I won't take it from a person who's being biologically rude. So emotionally immature people are always assholes. This is why my facade friend, I can be an asshole, but I'm a different kind. I'm a conscious one who would speak words, which is why I said, thank goodness God kept me away from. There's one human being who the words I would have spoken would not have been tainted with, let me get your character law. No, I'd be like, in fact, my comeback, this dream that I had when I'm like doing that, it was exactly in a way that would have hit home because it would have been true. But that's not nice, because my friend didn't choose to not know what love is, because that's where you don't know it if you didn't get it. And so it would have been a mean, not nice, on purpose, and it reactive, which is exactly why our brains are dumbed down, the ego, which is also why I thank God for keeping me away. So when you hear the 40 saying that we're being protected, they think of low frequency people as energy vampires because they don't know how to self-regulate. So they're always under stress around each other. In fact, they call each other to each other's cauldrons, and then they continue playing this shit. It's hilarious. I don't need movies to be entertained. I go out And I'm seeing people, going to the unseen shaman and telling them every single bit of bullshit, and they're all like little teenage rock stars, and it's like, wow, but they're getting older, they have wrinkles, but they're still their same teenage. Look, they're having fun. They're having fun being drama kings and drama queens. And then the 20-year-olds who are also all around that shit, and I've seen some of them are really into it. They like literally and actively fuck around all the same, and I'm just like, huh. It does feel, hey, Robert Spolsky, I'm starting to think the term is true, because I feel like I'm on a repeat, a wheelhouse. Maria does. 45-year-old version of me, though. Not two, no, 45. I'll be 46.0 version soon. So the moment of truth is that when someone doesn't know what happened to them when they grew up, because they don't really realize how those first 3 years of life matter in the first 8, and so they don't take seriously the psych education, but then getting themselves in a room when they're playing out maladaptive patterns of behavior, they think it's cool, and that's the norm. They choose convenience over everything. I chose my health. When I went back to my osteopath, it's because I knew he could help me, and he did. And he added to my series of exercises that I do independently. So when you come to HP, mentorship, or the paid content, whatever it is, it's because you, one, are already independent. You want to do more of well-being mindset because you like your health, and you're smart enough to know what works and doesn't work, so you're not a stupid consumer, and you're also tired of bullshit people. Unimpressive words, because that's how it'll feel when you're watching them all around doing the same shit. And it isn't because science disproves spirituality. No, science proves what works. Spirituality, if you are spiritual, then you live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. You're not self-serving. You don't need to save anyone, and you're not proving anything, which is why it's not a competition, which is why this 5D Akashic record lady, whoever she is, when she's saying our earth angels are these nurses, yes, all humans are angels. And the ones who are the spiritual bypassers at this point are entertainment for some of us. Also disappointing those who want to use the word leaders and continue to spread rumors instead of bringing us together because you want to keep things boxed up in a way that you don't own. But hey, the ones who believe you, they look at me and say, you're just going to have to accept, Maria, that you are rejected. Like when someone, and more than just someone, looked at me when I told them, I've seen the demonic possession. It's real. It happens. I've seen it. And this is a person who didn't ever get over that, meaning they still feel wronged by people who looked at them weird. And I'm like, that's why you're cherry picking. That's an emotion immature. Right in that moment, you cherry picked what is your experience. I'm giving you data. I'm not saying your experience didn't happen. I'm giving you an explanation to what you saw. Why wouldn't you welcome the explanation alongside what you saw? Oh, because you're still harboring resentment, and basically you believe in one side of a coin, yet science and God doesn't need science, and so that's why we're not accepting decentralizing the self. That's the explanation they gave. You don't go to science to get your hips replaced and your heart replaced and your brain, whatever it is, when you're sick. Well, and you didn't notice. That's why they're also unimpressive. So hypocrites, they're buffoons because so I gave you an explanation, didn't deny your experience. I'm simply talking to you, and yet you are now saying you're just going to have to accept being rejected, which means you're actually almost like, oh, someone is experiencing who, this is the part of where suffering wants company. Yeah. So that's why envy, jealousy, spite, all of these low frequencies, I don't think, oh my God, I'm so disappointed. What a betraying human being. Wow. That's all petty shit. That's why I'm like, I don't even flinch when people are petty, because I have explanations for them. They don't want it. And I'm explaining to you why, for me, you're double the hypocrite, and you're double the egoic, unimpressive, uninteresting buffoon. I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to let you talk it out and tell me exactly. I was just curious how they were still making sense to smart people, because there are smarts. Even if they're not smart, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, they're still smart. They can actually use their mouths and come up with shit. So he's coming up with, no, he has a personal experience. He gives me the explanation, but he's in a place of, well, now you're going to know what I felt like. I'm not trying to say what happened to you is right or wrong, and that's why you're not a person who actually is a good grown-up. You're a bad grown-up. You're emotionally immature, and you care about what you like and believe in versus what science explains, which is why you're actually helping children. So when I was a teenager, luckily for me, I had sex ed, I was telling my teenage ignorant human being friends, look, this is dangerous, this is no, and so this is why the grown-ups, they taught us well, and science teaches well, those who don't want it. and they bring in their beliefs. There's your ignorance. And the ones who are suffering, this human being suffers from what happened to them and is not a logical human being. And they think they are. They're only smart because they can wield their mouth and thoughts, and they can make sense of themselves. To a person who's actually smart, it's your sense, your reasoning is not convincing, doesn't lead to success, leads you to believe in this bullshit, be a hypocrite, not notice that you are one. I'm not going to be spending my time telling you that, because then I would have to have an argument. I don't want to, because I'm not going to prove Maria. I don't have to. I'm not going to prove the scientists. There are a bunch of them out there proving it already, and they're continuing to do research like Patrick McNamara. So when spiritual ones don't accept that there's no demon or evil and all that shit, yeah, okay, we know there's good and bad. That's where you teach children. The bad ones, quote unquote, it's quote unquote, because they got shit happening in their families, and we still got a bunch of emotionally immature grown-ups who are spreading rumors around. So we're not fighting anything except for the same thing our ancestors always went to, not fight. You can choose to be ignorant. It's not bliss and a stupid consumer, or you can become smart consumer and learn why knowledge and degrees are important, and academia and science, and you don't lose philosophy, you don't lose religion, you don't lose any subject matters. They're not competing. Smart places will continue to evolve, and that's why now they bring science and spirituality together. And people who don't like it, those are people who are judging a degree that they don't want, because again, they're competing. No, because here's where when people talk about our spiritual mystical experiences as if they're bullshit, that's like a talking down to someone. You don't have to believe in them, but they exist. And you know what? Thanks to smart human beings, science and spirituality come together in a classroom. Thanks to moronic ones who cherry pick whatever the fuck they want. Sure, keep talking. You're unimpressive. And when I see those 20-year-olds who are following the unseen shaman, that's unimpressive. In fact, actually, it's quite distasteful. When I'm observing, I have observed a very specific one of these young ones who has taken a liking to the shaman for the unseen, and they actually get off on that which is teenager bullshit. So I'm going to leave you with this. When I picked my herd as my next style of parenting, my boyfriend, my BFFF, I picked it on purpose, and the people that I decided to hang out with. And once they revealed themselves to be cowards, I didn't stop being friends with them. No, my BFFF, I went to talk to her. So why'd you lie? I'm used to by now, but I mean, I told him, look, it's the third time, grow the fuck up. Like, what the hell? No, I didn't curse at the time. I said, this is getting ridiculous and childish. Just decide what you want. You want to be an item or not? I mean, it's not really that hard. It's been 3 years. It's not disappointing. It's simply called, why are you wasting my fucking time? There's no reason for you to be confused on what you would want in life. That's how a person who knows where you're headed with the sense of self is going to say, because that's what consciousness is, and intentionally living. Seeing grown-ups who are older than me not know how to do it, I have to refrain every single bit of me from thinking anything, because that's when, thanks Peter Levine, attachment trauma comes in. I'm like, okay, they need someone, that's not me. And that's it. So emotionally immature people, they always just want you to boost, but they don't know how to keep themselves up, because they're up and down a merry-go-round, suffering life and talking shit. And so it's a very inconsistent frequency, and you learn to just, that's what happened. After the first 5 years of me being around my oversoul, I was like, yep, you're all out, because you don't know how to handle anything, and you're not handling it. That was with no attachment trauma, and it was in my head. I didn't speak these words to these people. But the point that I was trying to get to is when I was a teenager and I'm seeing what all the bad teenagers are doing, and I stopped casting a stone, because I know what it means, God, don't worry. So I just observed the different groups, and they were always getting themselves in trouble. They were always cheapskates, backstabbers, liars. I had the cowards too, but I addressed mine. And then, like with the BFFF, we stayed friends, because I was like, I'm not changing our friendship. So this is what unconditionally loving. We all have flaws, we all have imperfections, we all make mistakes. Love is not that I'm going to cut you out of my herd because you've made a mistake. That's bullshit. So when it has happened to me before, because I have at least 2 human beings who did that, and I was not like, oh, I lost something. No, I didn't. I lost a hypocrite. No, I didn't. No, they're hypocrites, because the minute that you can't accept that you can fuck it up, you're just telling me that you think people need to behave like you. And while I'll be irritated when I see morons, you're not me and I'm not you. That's what emotionally intelligent people are. So when you own the sense of self, you don't turn your back on your friends because they're assholes. That's actually not it, because everyone's an asshole. I can be an asshole too. That's true self acceptance. The man who's a stranger who says, I'm going to do enough to be silly, his feelings are real, but he needs help. Yet he has a daughter and a wife. He's an emotionally immature parent and husband who needs therapy, isn't going to go get any. Like another friend of mine who needs therapy, and I looked at him one day as he's doing this thing. I said, you do know your daughters learned from you, right? You do realize that one day the way you're treating their mother is the way that they think women couldn't be treated unless they're smart enough to get help and then learn that you are, like, that's my side note. But I saw, I don't know if he conquered or not because I haven't seen him again, but I know that in that moment I made him think about something. But unfortunately, people who choose convenience over everything, they don't choose well, they choose what they prefer. And their dislikes keep them away from every bit of growing up. And I watched a video, another science person, they were talking about this, how easy it is to spot your own self when you're like disliking something, and that's that opportunity for you to grow. Like when I'm beginning my diet, as I told you all, I got curious. I'm like, why are you making such a big deal? I know what I did. Oh, wait, she's going to control our 24 hours. Okay, whatever. It's for our health. You don't need to be so upset about it. And then the panic attack part, which wasn't a panic attack, but the brain, I'm going to die of sugar overload that I'm used to by now. So I was able to walk it off, as you all know. So it's fun to be the pseudoscience woo lady and to let you know, one, mystics and spiritual ones know science doesn't disprove us. But it does help all our brothers and sisters, if they want, to use every 24 hours like it counts and move into that cosmic geometry, with or without you, Sadhguru, but I love you for being there. So when you have 6 to 8 weeks for every new synapse connection to be created, but you're using the dark sides of neuroplasticity, you're just going to wield yourself in shut. While if you're creating new neural synapses, that means you're creating new habits, you're choosing it on purpose, and that's why it is likely that with willpower and with the person owning the sense of self, that they can work with any of their bad habits, because that's how easy it is. If, on the other hand, they're struggling, that's because there's need for support. So that's the moment of truth for the people who are emotionally intelligent. We know what motivates us. What motivates me is that I'm smart in knowing what health is personally. And then I knew where I would struggle, and that's why I created the playlist. I knew that by having my community and committing even to random updates, I would be able to stay on track, because that's how it works. A boy I dated thought I was addicted to nicotine. I said, no, I'm not. I like my cigarettes. I bet you can't quit. Oh, I bet you I can, but I'm going to smoke again. So that's the part of where 30 days. And I wanted a cigarette at a certain point, and my friend was like, but if you do, he won't know. I'll know. So when you're not addicted to something, by the way, it's because of being the owner of your brain. Others will continue to contest and argue it, and they give you their sciences, and if they really want to, they can go for it. But I quit from one day to the next, and it was like it never happened. I didn't get moody, I didn't sleep less well, nothing. My body had no reaction. In fact, I was smiling on the first day. I was like, wow, feels like I never smoked at all, because I didn't have it, and there you go. So we are creatures of habit, which is why moderation is key to anything, and also knowing yourself. And as the story closes out, those teenagers, they maintain the same attitude. So when I had met a number of them, the bad teenagers, the ones who were breaking the rules and doing drugs and doing everything in excess, I made mistakes too, but a handful of them. And as I was saying, one of the friends that I continued staying friends with and that we would always go out, that friend cares enough to say, okay, you two, if you do this again, I'm not taking you anywhere, because I'm one man, you're two, and I'm by myself. I need you to be able to walk home. Because my girlfriend and I were having a blast, but we had gotten a little tipsy. And so he's like, I'm not going to bring you dancing anymore. Oh, come on, don't be such a ballsy. But at the same time, there comes a time where we all grow up, and so I haven't had and will not be having any of those very yucky moments. A handful. Last time it was very embarrassing. I'm pretty sure they put some shit in my drink, or if it wasn't that, it was because I don't know how to. I had a Capirusca, and then I had a bit of champagne or something. This was when my facade friend and I weren't going out. In fact, I believe it was the night that I went out with them. And that's where, well, anyways, my girlfriend brought me home. So not that I don't trust my friend, but I'm just saying, like, I don't remember getting out of the car. I don't remember getting home and opening the door, and that is not cool. Blackouts are not cool. I will have always learned from college. I'm like, why are you all doing this? Like, I was a teenager and learned this is dangerous. Now you're doing it now and you're in college. This is dangerous the same. And with my women friends, I would be like, okay, we're not leaving with any man, no matter what. Even though, again, I never got to that extent. But that night, I was like, that's never happened to me. Like, in the years the few times that I have had bad trips, quote unquote, yeah. But yeah, when I told people what I had drank, they said maybe it was the champagne because of the bubblies or something like that. But long story short, when you see grown-ups continuing to do this is not cool. So when I go out to that place, the guy that argued with me, no, that made me aware that he can lack sleep all the time. No sleeping for him. No sleeping, drinking, drugging, fucking. And he's like, why would I not? I want to live life. And I'm like, I didn't say you don't need to do all the things you're doing. I'm just saying that, and this is the man who fell on the floor with his woman, or maybe just a fuck woman, I don't know. They both fell outside. Luckily, didn't die. They fell inside. They got rude with the people who were helping them. They continued to be basically till they got better to go home. And you want to tell me you know what health is? You don't know what health is. And this is a man who, I'm doing great, as we were talking about attachment and trauma, because we were talking about a whole different situation. That's how shame continues, by the way. It makes up bullshit. The system's trying to hold us down. I got my two buffoon friends. One buffoon friend, another buffoon friend somewhere else, and this guy who is an acquaintance at best, because I don't want to become friends, but he does definitely like to say hello. And well, I can't be rude to people, but yeah, there's a lot of grown-ups out there. They're not real good examples. But remember, please, we have the laws. So, maybe one day the laws are just going to make it illegal. That's it's written. No, I think we learned from the whole prohibition thing. So I think that we have a better set of grown-ups, and that's the scientists. So at the end of the day, those teenagers, yes, they grew up to stay the same. When I hung out with a couple of them, I was like, oh my God, I'm back in 16-year-old land with people that I didn't hang out with on purpose because I didn't like them. And in fact, the man who just downed a drink before getting on a moped then was shivering and full of sweat. And I'm like, well, no shit. Whatever the fuck you did, I'm pretty sure that was bad for you. But hey, let me not be the grown-up of the situation. They were stingy with money. They were stingy with cigarettes. They were still talking about the same things they talked about when they were kids. And I'm like, what the fuck? Time didn't move by. Then I go to Ibiza with another one of them that was not my friend, was part of a crew. And in fact, they revealed their true colors as, instead of doing the right thing, which was like my one friend who said, okay, girls, get it together. He did not do this. There's two men. They got dark eyes. I have never seen that. I don't know drugs, but I can tell you, like, I was like, what the fuck? Pitch black. And they weren't comforting, but they were passing by, but they looked pretty angry, and they dropped the bottle. And my friend, instead of just leaving it alone, he gets into his little peacock shit, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing? So I pick up the bottle and remove myself from the situation, because it seemed like he was whatever those peacocks do, and I'm like, I'm not going to be here. I have no standing chance. And I remembered, yeah, he hung out with that crowd. So I actually had an awful moment, because there's a lot of other things that happened. I actually, we almost left, but luckily I got better and we didn't. In the meantime, the other person who was with us was trying to, I don't even know, because they complained about who was hitting on them, but then again, they kept on trying to get hit on. And that's, yes, a woman friend of mine, and that's how, you just think, what the heck, I'm 45, I'm growing up. How is it that people still don't know what grown-ups look like? They do, the emotionally mature ones. And so with Mystic Spiritual Mindful, we move into the future, but we stay in the present. And so that lovely present, attuning, resonating, trusting. Welcome aboard. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.